Alright, so today I pulled 6-star Vox, and this is just fantastic because Vox looks super cool. Like, design-wise, I think he wins this year, flat out. He is just that cool looking. His glowing weapon is awesome, his suit is amazing as well. Just looks like an insanely awesome character, and the edginess is just off the charts. Null has a run for his money now. So yeah, we're gonna rank 3 him today, and honestly, after playing him, I might rank 4 him because he is insanely fun, and he's definitely very unique when it comes to just playstyle and the way he works. And there's the Awakening with a generic gem, which I'm running out of, so I'm a bit worried, but I think I'll be fine. And there is the Sig 60. So now let's go over his basic rotation. And Vox is pretty simple to play. So to start, build corrupted buffs with medium light medium combos, and then afterwards, convert your buffs to degen with a special attack. The special depends on what buff you need, but mainly the SP1, and after that, before the degen expires, drop another special attack to convert degens into corrupted intensifies, and the next special use afterwards will just do a ton of damage output degen wise. So overall, pretty simple to play, and his damage output is pretty nice. And now let's see in action. And by the way, this guy has a pretty menacing stance, and he is just the ultimate edgelord. Like, it is fantastic. Null, I'm sorry, bud, but yeah, you are kind of dethroned edgelord wise because this guy just has it all. Like, he has the all black outfit and like the red coloring. He has the very cool weapon. He has those wings as well, which is pretty wild. This man just has it all. And there we dropped the SP1. And now the degens will gain increased damage over time because that's how they work. It's very weird, but it's also pretty cool as well. So I think it's pretty nice. I think it's a very unique way to deal damage. And here we drop the SP2 to pause the degen. And yeah, the fight is pretty much over now. Very nice fight there. Only about 35 seconds as well. So pretty nice overall. And now we have this Winter Soldier fight. And Winter Soldier has a lot more health, but Vox still handles this pretty well. Vox, I feel like, is more tailored towards this health pool because you ramp up more and you do more damage output. But honestly, I feel like he is good for any health pool. I feel like any health pool he can just survive pretty well in, which is great. I love damage stealers like that. I love damage stealers that can adapt to any health pool because it just gives them a lot more use and a lot more value over time because as time progresses, health pools get higher, some champions fall off, and then some champions shine. But Vox will just stay constant. And here's my first SP1. We get 24 degens, which is pretty sweet, but that is just the beginning. That's not even close to what we're gonna hit after the SP2. So here we can just play it slow. The degens last a pretty good amount of time, but there is some tightness to the window for them. However, when he's awakened, he just becomes a lot more practical, so keep that in mind. When he's awakened, it feels a lot better to use him. So now we're building back up to our next SP1, and this one will have a lot more degens, and it'll just be a lot more damaging overall. And the damage output is pretty dang crazy for our rank 3 6-star. So check this out. We beat out the SP1, and then afterwards we go back in, drop our own SP1, and now it begins. So check out the degens right here. 53. That is a lot. That is a lot of degens. And the damage output is going to skyrocket in a bit here. So right now it's at 6,000. Now it's at 8,000. It's going to go to 10,000 now in a second. And now we're at about, what, 13,000? And the fight is now pretty much over. Just like that. Very solid damage there at the end. And that was about 1 minute and 35 seconds, I believe. And look at that outro, man. Just so clean. Yeah, 1 minute and 35 seconds. So now his strengths. He is a pretty solid cosmic DPS. And his main form of damage is degen. So that is also a big plus because degen is so hard to counter. So it just makes him very versatile. Additionally, he has access to Undermine on the SP1, which counters auto block like Penny Parker, and it ignores the node True Lies, so that is also very useful. And additionally, on his SP2, he has a Vigilance, and the Vigilance is pretty dang good as well. It lets him counter a lot of missed champions, counter some missed nodes as well, and additionally, he has access to a lot of buffs, and these buffs are great for any cosmic lane, and his debuffs are great for any just general questing lanes. And also great for Despair as well because it lets him block healing. And last but not least, he has a great immunity set. He is immune to poison, which is just a pretty standard cosmic thing. He's also immune to power drain, power lock, power burn, and special lock, which is great for a ton of tech characters like Penny Parker, and also some pretty niche nodes. So just a great champion in that regard. Has a pretty standard cosmic kit, but also some unique things like his degen, and his immunity set is still pretty dang rare for a cosmic character. So overall, a pretty nice standard kit with some nice little niche things in there as well. I think it's pretty well done, and now let's go over some showcases of his utility. So let's start off with this Medusa fight, and I know that Vox is tied to the Inhumans somehow. I think he doesn't like them. I think they're enemies, right? I might be wrong there, but he looks like a bad guy, so I'm assuming he is. But here we have this auto block lane, and Vox is just a very strong auto block counter because once he has his Undermine up, he just has it for the rest of the fight. It is a very, very nice ability. It does take a bit to get to with the SP1, but after that, it is just there permanently. So no complaints there whatsoever. And yeah, the degen is doing some work already. It starts off slow, but then it gets pretty dang potent, and I think that's pretty awesome. It's such a unique way of dealing damage. I think no one else does it like that with their damage over time debuffs. He is the first champion to do that, I believe. So here I dropped the SP2, and the damage output there is pretty weak. He's like Gallon, where the Fury buffs don't really add too much, and it's just his other source of damage that does all the work, which in this case is the degen. And I'm glad it's like that because degen is much harder to counter than just Fury, right? So I'm glad that he is a degen DPS. We need more of these in the game. Mr. Negative is a great one as well, and this guy is joining him in the ranks. And now we have 36 degens. We're doing a ton of damage here, and the fight is now pretty much over after this SP1. So a very solid fight there, and Vox is just so strong with this auto block counter. Now we have a miss counter showcase, and honestly, I'm a bit iffy on this one because I don't like champions that have to get to the SP2 for their utility. For example, Spider-Man Classic, he needs 2 SP1s to get to his full-on decelerate counter, which I think is pretty annoying, but I don't know. I just feel like it takes a bit too long to get to this counter, but once he does have it, though, it is permanent, which is nice, I guess, but I think he is more suited as an auto block counter because the miss counter is locked behind 2 bars of power. So it is what it is, but I wish it was just he had both on the SP1. That would just be so cool, but I understand why it's to balance him out, right? So I just feel like overall he is a better auto block counter, but the miss counter is still there if needed. Just keep in mind that it does take a bit to get to. But yeah, the fight's going pretty well regardless. We're doing some pretty nice degen damage here. So here I dropped SP1 after this to get some more intensifies, which really up our damage output. They help the Fury buffs too, but the Fury buffs already have a pretty weak duration, so I wouldn't say they help all too much, but they do give us more degen, so that is important. And now we have 46 of them, which is more than enough to finish off the fight. He is just melting at this point, and the fight is just about over. Those ticks are quite wild. And that was about a minute as well, which is super solid. And now we have this Sam Wilson fight, and this is a poison lane which Vox is immune to. And Sam Wilson has some pretty annoying auto block, but we counter that with ease. And Sam Wilson looking nice with that 7-star border, which he is officially a 7-star now, so I might pick him. I don't know just yet, but I think it's going to be him. I'm still a bit undecided though. But Sam Wilson is very annoying on defense if you can't counter him, but Vox counters him pretty much completely with the auto block counter, and his Undermine bypasses True Lies, it bypasses Penny Parker. It is just very strong. And the degen is now stacking up. And imagine if the degen started with like this damage output. That would just be so insane. But yeah, I understand why it doesn't, because they gotta balance the guy, right? But his damage output still is just so strong. It is just so nice. And I love how it's just not in the form of yellow numbers. It is so valuable to have a red number DPS that is a degen champion, because degen is the rarest form of red numbers. So it is a very nice time, and here we have 46 of them, and the damage output is going to start to skyrocket. Check this out, 6,000, now we're at 9,000, up to 10,000, and now it's just so high, and he just melts. It is just game over. Such a clean fight, and Vox is just such a clean champion. His utility is pretty solid. his immunity set is very, very strong, his damage output is very nice, and his former damage output is just perfect. So overall, I think Vox is pretty dang solid. I think he is a great addition to the game. Let me know your thoughts on Vox. Do you like this character? I think he has a lot of fans already because of his design, which fair enough, he looks super cool. And yeah, that's about it for me.